So have I not done enough videos about Pokemon types yet? Cause I don't know. I don't think I have. Okay, I promise this will be the last video on Pokemon types for now. It's just that I'm having a lot of fun making these videos. Plus, I've gotten several requests from you guys to do a video on the worst Pokemon dual typings, and to that I say, ask and you shall receive. Also, views are a thing, so yeah. But seriously, ever since I've done the research for my top 5 strongest dual types video, I was always thinking in the back of my mind, what are some of the worst Pokemon type combinations? And well, today, I finally bring you guys the answer to that very question. Welcome to my top 5 worst Pokemon dual typings. What I'll be factoring into this video is type effectiveness, resistances, weaknesses, how bad Pokemon of that dual typing are, and how good of moves there are for both types. And just like the previous dual typing video, I want to avoid using multiple combos of the same type because 1, it would make the video all about a certain typing, and 2, it would get really repetitive. I did have to make an exception for 2 types though, because some of these type combos are so bad that they need to be called out. And secondly, I want to try to avoid putting dual types on this list that haven't been used on a Pokemon yet because, well, it's an unused type. That being said, remember again, this video is 100% my own opinion, and if you do not share it, that is completely fine. Just be sure to let me know why you think I'm wrong in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And with that being said, let's get started. Well, if you guys are long-time subscribers to my channel, then you should definitely know by now that my favorite Pokemon and mascot of my channel is none other than the GOAT itself, Charizard. I mean, what's not to like about this thing? It's got a great design, 2 very powerful megas, an amazing shiny, and is undoubtedly the best Kanto starter, don't at me. But even though I love the big guy, I can't deny the fact that it's one of the weakest starters if you take out megas. And a big part as to why that's a thing is because of its typing, fire and flying. That's right, starting off this list, we have the dual typing of fire and flying. Alright, to be fair, I don't think this typing is that bad, which is why it's not further down the list. I actually think a typing like ice and flying is way worse all around, but to be honest, I'm going to be bringing up ice a lot in this video, and I just want to avoid making this super repetitive. Offensively, this typing is capable of packing a serious punch, being super effective against 5 different types, 2 of them being the very powerful steel and fighting types. And on the defensive end, I think it's even better. Fire Flying has resistances to 6 different types, with 2 of them being quad resistant. And these aren't just your regular run-of-the-mill types. Fire Flying resists some very popular types like Fairy, Steel, and Fighting. Not to mention, this typing also takes away Fire's greatest weakness with an immunity to the ground types. Now, with all of these good qualities to this typing, you're probably thinking, Eryizo, why are you putting on the list then? And to that I say, cool your jets, compadre, I was just getting to that. Also, don't talk to me, that's weird. Here's the main reason why I decided to put this typing on the list. 2 words. Stealth Rocks. Yes, even though its resistances are pretty good, I still think defensively there is a major flaw in the system. For one, types like water and electric are already very common in the metagame, so having those weaknesses isn't great. But pair that with a quad weakness to rock, and geez, you're just asking to die at that point. Sure, rock is a very weak typing overall, but stealth rocks, like I've said many times before, is way too prevalent to be ignored. Like seriously, you cannot send out your fire flying when stealth rocks are up. You will literally lose half of your HP doing that. And move wise, well, I think the fire typing can provide very well for both physical and special attackers. I don't think flying can really do the same. Don't get me wrong, it's got great physical attacks, but air slash and hurricane? Like, really? That's the best you got? I mean, they can be pretty good moves. I mean, I've mentioned how good they are in the previous videos, but I think they can do a bit better. I just don't like the fact that Hurricane is so inaccurate and Air Slash is just not strong enough. But here's where the argument kind of gets derailed a bit. If you take a look at all the fire flying types, there's actually about 60% of them that are really good. Ho-Oh, Megazard Y, and Talonflame are all very effective in their respective tier. Even lower tier Pokemon like Moltres aren't that bad either, at least for RU standards. So like I said before, I don't think this typing is that bad. Sure, it has its faults, but I still think it can succeed. It's only really here because of the stipulations. Pokemon Sun and Moon brought about a lot of new things to the Pokemon franchise. There's new mechanics, Pokemon, trials, and even new Pokemon type combinations. And while yes, there was some pretty strong and useful new Pokemon dual types like Mimikyu, one new type combination that was by far the worst of the bunch has to be the addition of Alolan Raticate, which is dark and normal type. I mean, Raticate in it of itself isn't that great of a Pokemon. It's got poor stats, no super effective hits, and no resistances. But who knows, adding a new type into the mix like Dark could make it work, right? Wrong. When devising this list on the worst Pokemon dual types, I of course had to factor in how bad a dual typing is defensively. But that isn't the only thing you have to look into, because where there's defense has to be offense. And Dark Normal has to be the worst offensive typing in the game. I mean, Normal by itself is by far the worst offensive typing, with no super effective hits, 2 types that resist its attacks, and 1 type that's immune to it. Now pair that with a typing that only has 2 super effective hits and well, you got yourself a really bad offensive typing. But I didn't just put this typing on the list because of its ineptitude offensively. There are other dual types that have the same amount of super effective hits. No, Dark Normal is here because of its ineptitude on both ends. Sure, it has 2 immunities, but only having 1 resistance to itself and a quad resistance to one of the most powerful offensive types in the game isn't considered good. Plus, you also got fairy and bug attacks to deal with. As for moves, sure, both typings have a decent move pool, with the likes of Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, Return, Sucker Punch, Hyper Voice, and Foul Play, but with all of the weaknesses that I've stated in mind, it's just not enough to save it from being a bad dual type. Alright, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, from here on out we are going to be reusing a couple of dual types. Funny enough, that couple is going to be the 2 types I'm talking about right now. Grass and Ice. I mean, this type combination was a recipe for disaster from the get-go. You pair the worst defensive typing in Ice and the type that has the joint most amount of weaknesses, and well, death is the only option here. But hey, let's not have negative vibes enter our system because, you know, power of positivity. Let's talk about positives. Yeah, let's do that. Firstly, offensively, this dual typing can be very effective. Ice is one of the best offensive types with 4 super effective hits, and Grass isn't that far behind with 3. Added up together, 6 is the total amount of super effective hits possible, and there are some very strong types in there. There's Ground, Water, Flying, and Dragon. Not bad at all. But we all know that doesn't really matter if you don't have good moves to back it up. And luckily enough, both types have a great move pool. There's Ice Punch, Giga Drain, Ice Shard, Leaf Blade, Freeze Dry, Wood Hammer, Ice Beam. Need I say more? Resistance wise, even though Ice has virtually nothing, Grass makes up for that problem by bringing in 4 different resistances, the best of them being Ground and Water. But I'm afraid it's not not enough to save Grass and Ice from being bad, because like I said before, pair the worst defensive typing and the type that has the joint most amount of weaknesses, and it's a recipe for disaster. Sure, having those 4 resistances are fine and dandy, but when you keep in mind that this typing has 7 weaknesses, one being a quad weakness to a very popular type in Fire, the value of those resistances really diminishes. And Fire isn't the only worrying type. Other popular types like Fighting, Steel, and Flying would have their way with Grass and Ice. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, Stealth Rocks is also going to be a problem here. And if you take a look at the Pokemon that uses this typing, Abomasnow, sure, it's kind of effective in the metagame, but that's only because of the fact that it has a Mega. I mean, with those stats, I'm pretty sure any Pokemon could find a way to succeed. And when you take that away, what do you have? A bad typing and a bad Pokemon. Now sure, the last Pokemon type was and still is really bad to have, but at least it has the luxury of being a very uncommon Pokemon type. Buggrass doesn't have that luxury. 3 different Pokemon have to share that incredibly terrible dual typing. Now 3 doesn't sound like that much, but when you factor in the fact that they're all from different generations and Parasect and Leavanny are common Pokemon to come across in the story, I don't think it's that crazy to say that. And if you guys thought this dual typing was going to make the list, then congratulations, you're correct. Offensively, Buggrass is not that bad, having 6 different super effective hits to Grass, Ground, Water, Dark, Psychic, and Rock. Move-wise, this typing is also pretty good too. We already know how good Grass's move pool is, but Bug also has some pretty great attacks like X-Scissor, Leech Life, U-Turn, and Signal Beam. The move pool is good, but not great. We still need more usable special attacking Bug moves, but besides that, it's pretty okay. As for defense, Grass Bug actually has more resistances than the previous dual type. With the addition of the Bug typing, it also adds 1 more resistance to the all-powerful Fighting type. But don't get me wrong, just because it has more resistances doesn't necessarily mean it's better than Grass Ice defensively. If you take a look at its weaknesses, this typing has a whopping 6 different types strong against it. Yes, that's less than Grass Ice, but now you have 2 types that are quad effective to you. And these typings are far from bad. Fire and Flying are both very strong typings. Maybe not as a dual type though. All in all, Grass Bug is just a terrible typing to have because the 2 types share a lot of the same weaknesses. And I don't care if you have great defenses, a quad effective move will most likely be able to take you out. And finally, in my opinion, the worst Pokemon dual typing to have on a Pokemon has to be the Rock and Ice typing. Man, I feel so bad for Aurorus. It's a well-designed Pokemon with a great ability in Refrigerate, but it's just so hindered by its terrible typing. I will say this though, from an offensive standpoint, Ice Rock is on the levels of Fighting and Ground, with 7 different types it's super effective against. But in every other aspect, this dual typing is an absolute disaster. Resistance-wise, sure, it has the same amount as Grass and Ice, but the quality of resistances are not nearly as good as Grass and Ice. Normal, Poison, Ice, they're just not good enough, man. Pair that with the fact that it has 6 types super effective against it, with 2 of them being quad effective. Yeah, that's just bad. And it just makes it worse that those 2 types are some of the most powerful types in the frickin' game. I mean, Stealth Rocks is good, and we all know how good the Ice move pool is. Oh wait, I forgot. The Rock move pool is absolute garbage. Yay! Like I said in my worst Pokemon type video, all the usable non-exclusive Rock type moves are not 100% accurate. I know it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but when you're playing with fire, you're going to get burned. And even if Stone Edge, for example, has an 80% chance to hit, what if it misses? It ruins your whole strategy. I mean, Smackdown is okay, but not very powerful, and Power Gem is a special attacking move. And while yes, Aurorus is a special attacking Pokemon, it doesn't get access to Power Gem. Like, what the hell, man? Man, I'm really sorry, Aurorus. I think you're awesome, but it has to be said, your typing sucks. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and become an Eryizo today. And I just want to reiterate that again, this is just my opinion, so if you disagree with me, that's completely fine. In fact, let me know why you think I'm wrong in the comments section below, and tell me what dual type you think is the worst. I'd love to hear your guys' points. If you want to check out the previous video I did, be sure to click the annotation on the left. And if you want to see a Generation 8 video, click the other annotation on the right. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.